So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, traders. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone who's maybe outside the country. This is JSMFX, and you are about to dig into deep analysis, forecast, and also reviews for the forex pairs and also the currency pairs, which I look at. And this is going to be reviews for the 2nd of February to the 6th of February 2026, and also going to do some analysis and also finish up with some forecast of the date of 9th to 13th of February 2026. So in here we do deep analysis and also learn some few tricks here and there, and also see on the look on the mistakes, and also refine ourselves to maybe see on how we can face the next week, okay, knowing on what to do and what not to do. So sit down, strap up, and let's begin our video. So once again, this is JSMFX. My name is Arnold, and I'm here to now show you or take you through on what we have prepared for this video this week. So let's begin off with the news, just as always. One thing I've not come to understand, by the way, is that we'll have the NFP on Wednesday. Okay, so I really don't understand that, but I was expecting it this week, this last week that just ended on Friday, but that didn't happen. So according to the calendar, I see it's going to happen on Wednesday. So let's just wait and see what will happen by then. For now, Tuesday, I think we won't have any event on Monday, according to my FX book. But if you check on Tuesday, we see that we have, for me, I trade USD CHF, Euro USD, and the DAX. Okay. Yeah. So for any that I'll get an opportunity from, I take advantage of that. Okay. So most of the time I've filtered my, my news feed to only give me the high impact news, and also give me and look at the USD news that are also coming up. So for this one on Tuesday, February of 10th, we see we have the retail sales, which are not really that important for me, but I'll keep watch of that and see how it will play out. Wednesday, we have the NFP. This is where it's gonna get very, very busy. I feel price has accumulated, or rather ranged, for a very long time this year. Okay, starting off from January. So I think with NFP coming in on Wednesday, we will see so much of volatility. I'm expecting so much of volatility, and also the current direction that will be formed from there is maybe the current direction that we'll be going on with. So please, let's keep watch of that, and let's be very, very wary of that day and the news on that day. Thursday, we have the jobless claims again. This one also not that important for me, but I'll also keep watch just to make sure that I see how the data plays out and how the chart will look like on that day. Okay. Then Friday, we have the inflation rate, the CPI. So I think Friday is going to get busy for me, especially also on the euro. You can see we also have the employment change, the Gundo speech. Okay. And they also have the CPI on USD. So respectively, I think this day will be very, very busy. And I'll be looking forward to see on how I can maybe capitalize it if I get any chances. But for now, I just want to say that's the news. Let's now jump into the charts. We're going to start off with the DAX as usual, and we're going to look at some few trades that we took, those that we missed, and those that we went to a loss from. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so from the DAX, that is the Germany 40 or Germany 30, just as usual, still on an uptrend, and still in an uptrend. So for me, I'm still viewing this as the last pullback. Okay, and then we range a little bit. I think this was the period of, by the way, this is the monthly. Okay, we're gonna start off with the monthly. The period of 2025, we saw a lot of range, and also a very long time of up and down, chopping upwards and downwards, and then again we see another move to the upside like that. So in my last video, I talked of this demand. I think in my last two videos, I talked of this demand, which could be touched and then price will react from there. But also I was anticipating that if we do break this low, okay, of this, I think it's a doji or Honeyman, I don't know, Morningstar. If we do break the low of that, then we should be looking at maybe opportunities to reverse maybe deeper inside this demand, okay. But before that, we see the price actually reacted from there, okay. And then with this candle, we see as it opened right here, it went down a little bit, okay, before it went to the upside like that. So meaning it could be reacting from that demand and then continuing to the upside. So that's just my forecast that maybe we could be continuing to the upside like that. But let's just wait and see, and also look at the lower time frames to see maybe what we have in store. But for now, price is still continuing to the upside. The weekly also nothing much, but we see that from that demand, okay, here when price came back to this weekly, you see the blue one, okay, it came also and reacted. Let me just draw on it. It also came and reacted, okay, from this pullback, okay. So as price went up like that, came back down, okay, and it came back down to just react to this demand. So you see what happened there. This one went a bit lower and then reacted from there like that, okay. So maybe this could be the reaction, the initial reaction, the actual reaction to the upside, and then continue with the trend. So still anything can happen. For now, this demand is the one holding right here, okay. So I'll remove this one because it will look kind of confusing. But as you see, price also came and reacted from this demand right here and then shot to the upside. So it's just trying to respect that order flow to the upside, and as you can see, it reacted also here and then went to the upside. So I think that trend will just continue to the upside like that. The daily was a bit interesting, but I still do want to say that a little bit of moves were made, and also a little bit of trades were seen and some were missed. So starting off on the market structure, we have this high forming that low, okay, and breaking this low. So for me, I thought that we could, continue to the downside, because after the reaction from here, I had my trade on, as you can see. But then I'm a swing trader. But sometimes, okay, I was a sessions trader, that is a day trader. But later on, I came to see that market structure is king and higher time frames actually rules. So I went back to higher time frames and I had to, refine myself in a patient way, and also see on how I can, capitalize on that. So this is a trade I took on the higher time frame, which is the daily. And as you can see, price came in very well into this sell to buy range, okay, and then reacted from it. So at that time, I also advise guys to just put in the break even line right there, and that's when price came and took us out on break even. And as you can see, price went up, and with this candle it was kind of like a pullback, okay, and then price went up again to react from that supply, and then came down, but it didn't touch this demand and then shot to the upside. So as you can see, price came back down again to take out this low, okay, and then mitigate this demand. And then right here is where we had that range, okay, went to the upside to take out those highs, and then came back down like that, okay, to take out these lows, okay. So again, we came back up, came down again, okay, to take out these lows, and then price shot to the upside. So right there and then we had that change of character right there. And then as you can see, price pushed higher again to take out those highs. So you see how it's kind of ranging, but it's also just, targeting those liquidity points, taking people out before continuing with the initial or the actual move, okay. So from there, we see again another move to the downside. I think this one, let's see, this low was 206.5, and this low was 201.5. So meaning this candle right here, this was the current one, took out the lows of this one, okay, and they shot to the upside. So my anticipation is that price will still continue to the upside, continue buying, Okay, and it will for me, I can anticipate that it might reach here and look for a bit of a reaction before maybe continue to the upside. But if that's not the case, then maybe if we get, the same module that we always talk about, change of character return, and then we'll look for any supplies from there, and then do maybe a sudden pullback to the downside. Now, why am I looking for or maybe anticipating on a pullback is because when I draw my FEB from the low to the high, we see that it did touch the 50%, but it didn't actually go lower. So if it goes lower, what are we really targeting? Which demand are we looking at? So for me, I look for let's just say this one here, okay, the extreme one on the discount areas, where now I'll be maybe anticipating for price to come back down lower, okay, and then maybe mitigate those areas. So let me just remove that because I'm not certain of that right now. I'll have to see more confluences before I include it. But for now, we see that price has reacted well from after taking out this low of this demand, and then now it shot back up. So let's just look at the lower time frames and see how the drama unfolded. So here is where the drama unfolded, and we can see very well that there are a couple of trades that were taken, a couple of them that were missed, actually a couple of them that were missed. One very painful one, but let's just go through the structure real quick and talk about what is going on. So we have this high, okay, forming that low, and this low broke the price to the upside. So I'm just going to start off from there. Okay, so right here, if you check very well, especially from the charts, we have a little slight of range and also a pullback, okay, where later on price came back down, okay, to form that change of character. Okay, so right here okay, let me just draw on it very clearly for you to see, so that you don't get also confused. Okay, so we have this move to the upside like that. Okay, this was a pullback. Okay, price went higher with this candle, came back down, okay, to cause that change of character, and then we went back up again to take out all those highs. Okay, and then now we started the initial move to the downside. So when they're coming back to the downside, they're only reacting from this demand, but they were actually pulling orders, okay, and also building liquidity, which later on from those lows, relatable lows, and also those ones, relative lows, sorry, we see the price came and took them out again, inducing more buyers, and then shot to the downside again, because initially that was a descending triangle, and also liquidity pool, which later on came and took them out. Right here again, same scenario, range, okay, took them out, came back up to induce more buyers, and then continue to the downside. So you see how they're forming that kind of pattern again and again, like right here and right here. Okay, and also I think right here, but I'll explain that in a minute. So we see price reacting from that demand. Okay, a little bit of a pullback to induce more buyers, but initially they just wanted to reach to that. Remember that hanging man, is it a doji, which we saw on the week, I think weekly or daily. That's where this was. Okay, so we see price coming back down to this daily demand and also that 4-hour demand. Okay, so then we had a change of character on the 4-hour, and then price shot to the upside to come and mitigate this supply range a little bit, came and took them out, all these lows, okay, and then went to the upside, take out all those highs, okay, including these ones, okay, and then now we had another change of character right there, and then now supply started to take control. So as you can see, it started to form an order flow, a bearish order flow to the downside. So again, price came back down. For those that were buying from here, you are also liquidity, so you got taken out from this low with this candle right there. And as you can see, price came back up. That's when I had my trade. I think I had my trade around here because price pulled back up right here in this candle, and then I put in my sell stop, which got tagged. Then price came back into my PNL losses side. I was still at reds until later on price came and went in my favor, and that was a nice trade. But I did explain this extensively from my last video, so you can go and check it out for last week. Okay, so again, price went to the downside to come and also take this one out. So they were actually building that bearish order flow, okay, to also see if they can, to also for us to also see if they can still continue to the downside. But as you can see, we had another pullback. This was not actually a supply, but they used it, okay, to actually come and take guys out right there again, okay, from that bearish low, sorry, demand, which as you can see also that price took them out and then reacted from there to shoot to the upside and then cause that change of character. Now, I want you to notice something. After this change of character, we see price going up high. So you see how ranges sometimes, they really are very perturbing, because it's all about chopping guys before continuing the initial or actual move. Okay, so right here we see price coming, taking out those highs, and then we short to the downside like that. So again, see price coming back up to react from that supply, and then now we started again to create that bearish order flow like that. So right here, okay, right here, I thought to myself that because price had created that lower high and lower low, the bearish order flow, I was kind of skeptical about this supply. I was kind of skeptical about this supply, although it was very much well formed. I just didn't take that trade. So as I continued to monitor it, price went my way, as you can see, and it came back down, okay, very well to that demand, okay, after the change of character. Sorry about that. So after that change of character, price still came back down to that demand very well. And then as you can see, we had a little pullback, and then price came back down to take out these lows. Okay, so remember, change of character, pull back to that demand, for this case, the demand. Okay, and then for now, for this one now, they were actually wanting to come and take out those guys, okay, from here, the sell side, and then now move to the upside. So two things. In my last video, I talked of this trade right here. Okay, I talked of this trade right here, and I told guys that if price comes in, you see this line, this is the start of the February. Okay, so I was monitoring my chart from the first week of February, okay, from the first day to here, which is now the last week, okay, which is today is Saturday, so meaning that the week has ended. And as you can see, last week now, when we were explaining about this trade, this one, okay, this demand was the one that I was looking at, and I was telling guys that if price comes in deeper inside this demand, I'll place in my buy stop here and then continue to the upside. Okay, so that's the case, that's what happened. But it's only safer for me, it's only safer for me, and it's in my plan that when price comes in deeper in such situations, when price comes deeper to my POI, placing my stop order, okay, whether sell stop, buy stop, I place in my stop order, and then I take advantage of getting tagged and just price continuing with that direction that it intended to go. So as you can see, price came, took them out, okay, these lows, and then shot to the upside. So two things. I missed this trade, and I'll be very honest, let me just change this one so that I don't get too excited every time I see it. Let me try and change this one, I think. Okay, let me see. Let me change this one to missed. It's supposed to be missed by trade. Okay. Okay, let me just go back here and then change it to these colors. I think this is blue, so that should be purple. Okay, no, that's not purple. Is it? So purple, red, okay, and then purple right there. Okay, so these were two missed trades because I already was skeptical about this low being taken and thinking that price would still continue to the downside. And secondly, also, this supply got me off track. Sorry, it got me off my track. This one here, see this supply right here, this inside bar. Okay, so I was thinking because it has taken those lows, price would come to that supply right there, okay, and then continue to the downside. But that wasn't the case. As you can see, price has respected my analysis and it's moving to the upside. So imagine this being the 4 hour, and this is your trade, and that is your floating profit. Okay, look at how now well executed these trades were. One was this one, which came in to my 3R with taking out of the of these laws. Okay, and this one is another 3R that is actually undergoing continuing, and as you can see, it is I think this is 2R if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 1.65 so far. Okay, so if it gets to this supply right here, okay, after the break to the downside of that descending triangle, then that will be another very clean 3R that actually I missed, and that would have been, at least those two trades would have been at least a trades that would have helped me pass my first one of my FTM or 50K challenge. But it is what it is. So let's just move on to 15 minutes and see what maybe we might have something that we'll be targeting on. So 15 minutes, I'm going to look at an overview of how the week was. Okay, starting off from here. I think I don't think if I explained about this trade, but I did put it on my TikTok to show you how I went about it. So if you've not seen it, let me just try and go through it real quick. So we had this low, okay, before the initial liquidity taken out around here. We had this first 4 hour being price reacting from, okay, and being mitigated. So you see a little bit of a range from here, and then price came back down to that demand and then shot to the upside. So right here we had that change of character like that. Okay, this change of character right here, and that's when price came in deeper inside that supply around there. We see that for me, I placed in my sell stop order, and as you can see, price went down, came back up, okay, but still was I still made peace with my losses, understanding that if it goes back up, then that was just a bad day. But as you can see, price went down and then hit my TP, very well executed, and also continued to the downside. So again, we see price coming down deeper and then taking out those lows, okay, these lows right here. And then here also there was another low got taken out right there, and then we had a change of character. So again, after that change of character, we see price continue to the upside like that. Okay, then we had a slight pullback here, which pushed price to the upside again to that supply. I think if you check your charts, you will see where the supply was. For me, I think it's very much behind up to here. Okay, and then after that, price shot to the downside, causing that change of character and mitigating that demand. Okay, so now we're in the week. Okay, so this was Monday and now it's Tuesday. We're in the week, and as you can see, New York now continued to the downside, continued pushing price to the downside. So again, the New York PM also did the same, and also mitigated this demand right here. So after mitigating that demand on Tuesday, we see that during New York session, we had a change of character, and quickly price came back to that demand and then continued to the upside like that. So a very huge range that happened around there on Wednesday during the Asian session. And as you can see, price came in. By the way, this is another trade that I would have taken, okay, because if you check very well, we had this supply that was waiting for price to come to, and as you can see, before price came there, we had a slight pullback. Price went higher to take out those highs, and then caused that change of character. So a direct execution from that supply would also be very viable, but that wasn't the case for me. So my eyeball's low was just there. Price came back, took out those lows, okay, took out these lows, and then continued to the downside after that pullback. Okay, so New York again, this was Wednesday. Change of character from the New York. Price came back to that demand and then shot to the upside again, okay, to just manipulate, okay, some few buyers that still thought of continuing to buy. So we have that supply reacting, price reacting from there, and then Asia now on Thursday, price came back down. Okay, so let me just leave it right here as I put my chart, as I zoom in my chart to the current price. Okay, so we have this supply right here. I've not drawn on it, but that supply got price pushing down, okay, and then causing another uh, lower low with breaking this last low of my eyeballs. So we see again another move to the downside, okay, the initial one, no, not the initial one, but as you can see, this one reacted from that 4 hour and also the 15-minute demand, and then we had a change of character right there. Price came back, okay, to mitigate that demand, and then shot to the upside. So right here now on Friday, on Thursday, we see price closing in on coming down, okay, and taking out those lows, okay, these lows. Okay, so Asian change of character. Okay, price came back down to that whole range of demand, and then price now continue to the upside by creating that bullish order flow like that. So after the break of these eyeballs, remember these eyeballs, remember we are on a downtrend kind of bearish order flow, and then right here we see this eyeballs high that got broken to the upside. Okay, so after this break of this high, we see that price change direction to the upside. So what does this mean? This means that price is coming back up to mitigate some few areas of supply. Okay, so for myself, I'll be expecting to anticipate any reaction from there, and then maybe take advantage. Okay, so if I am taking advantage of that 15-minute trade, then that means that this demand will be the one that I'll be targeting and seeing if price could react from there and then continue to the upside. Now, another confluence is because we are on an uptrend, because if you check very well, we have this high breaking this low, and then this high also got broken again, and then price initially had pulled back to the extreme of that 15 minutes. So this could be the initial move to continue to the upside, okay, on the 15 minutes. So all that being said, could just be an anticipation and a probability, because with this game you have to be a bit accurate and also have an edge to actually measure in on your conferences to know which one is right and which one is wrong. So for this time, I'll only look at this supply, waiting for price to react from there. But if it does break to the upside, then if I do get a setup like this, say for example, it breaks that high, okay, to come and maybe react from this high, okay, then I'll be looking for any demand from here and then play that buy to this supply. Okay, because it is from this supply that we had a change of character right here, but price didn't come back to that supply. So maybe that also could be another move. Alternatively, if I do get a setup from there, then I'll be taking advantage of those sales to that to this demand, and then maybe play another buy to that supply, okay, before we maybe look at the initial move to continue to the upside according to the higher time frames. So I think that will be all from the DRX Germany 40. Let's now look at the USD CHF and see what we have in store. Okay, so USD CHF, starting off from the monthly, it was a bit interesting, after this range right here, price broke to the downside. Okay, we had that slight pullback right there with the inside bar, and then price went to the downside, then another pullback. Okay, and then price went to the downside to take out those lows, but again started ranging here, okay, forming that bullish flag, and then later on price broke to the downside. So this is my last supply that I'll be waiting for price to get broken. Okay, and now this is my next supply. Okay, this is my previous supply, this is my next supply. I'll draw on it just in a second, but this is the level where I'll be expecting price to at least come and take them out before maybe possibly changing direction. But for now, price is still continuing to the downside, and with this candle right here, we see that maybe it wants to, push price to the upside a little bit, either to that whole range, okay, the range starting from here to here, but I think it has been touched. Let's see. Okay, so for this one, I'll be expecting for it to come back up there, but let's just see if price actually came back to this whole range. So let me draw this one on from here to there. Yeah. So as you can see, price has not touched it. Okay, it has not mitigated it. Okay, let me just not really there. Okay, let me just do the actual measurements to also show you what is actually going on. Let me be precise about it. So you can see price has not touched it. Okay, from that low, it still has a gap. So maybe price could do this. It could pull back. Okay, inside that supply, and then maybe continue to the downside. Alternatively, also, if it does break this high, then that means we'll have a change of character. Then we'll look for any demand around here, and then now continue to the upside. Okay, continue to the upside like that. Okay, but that will just have to wait for a very long time. For now, this candle is a bullish candle, so even going into the lower time frames, you'll see that there could be a possible bullish order flow. But for this week, for me, what I said, these weeks, I also pull backs and also start of change of direction. So maybe this was one of them. But let us look at the lower time frames and see maybe what it was trying to show us. So the weekly also the same, and then now the weekly, it's giving us that vibe that it actually is buying and it will buy, because we see after this break of this low, okay, but only with the weak price range again, okay, price range again like that, and then short to the upside, came to this weak supply and then continued to the downside. So you see how now that week is so long, meaning that this long week now is a start or maybe a continuation of a pullback. So if for me, I'm anticipating the pullback to continue and also see a bullish order flow in the lower time frame. So for me, this one is a bullish order flow. Okay, and because of this candle, we see a little slight of a pullback from this another long wick right here, okay, to here, maybe to come and mitigate this. Is it the open or the high or the close? But let's just say the high of this candle, okay, to come there and then continue to the upside. So say something like this, okay, to this level and then continue to the upside. So meaning this is now a pullback, okay, of the monthly and the weekly, okay. But let us look at the daily and see if that is actually happening. So if I'm seeing that, if I'm expecting the pullback to continue to the deeper side, then this is my supply that I'll be expecting price to come and touch before maybe continuing to the downside. The daily, let's now start off with the market structure and all those conferences that we normally talk about. Starting off from the market structure, we can see very well that we are playing. You see, remember that bullish flag, okay? So we are playing between that high. I will mark this low right now because it has pulled back very deeply and very significantly. So we see that push to the upside. We've had no change of character around here, okay, but we have a very strong push and a strong V shape, okay. This move to the downside, sudden move to the downside, and sudden move to the upside. That is a V shape for me, and that is signaling that we are pulling back and we are going to pull back deeper. So as you can see, we have that push to the upside, but before that push to the upside, price created this demand, okay. So there was a pullback from this high, price came in, created that inside bar to also signal for us that we have a pullback, and then price shot to the upside. So for me, this is our demand, okay. This is our demand where I'll be expecting price maybe to come back to and then continue to the upside. But before that, let's also not forget that these two inside bars, okay, were creating something like descending triangle again, and as you can see, this was something that happened. This was that happened, okay. So we had a push to the downside, upside, then up, downside. But if you check very well, the lows were not breaking, okay. They're only maintaining some certain kind of demand around there. So we see price coming back down again and then shooting to the upside, breaking that trend line. Okay, so after the pull, after the after the move to the upside to break that trend line, okay, and also that descending triangle, a break to the upside has given us this move, okay, of the candle, okay, to actually tell us now they are pulling back to that demand. Okay, so if it is from this demand now that I'll be expecting, okay, for price maybe to react from and then continue with the bullish order flow. Also, I'm not forgetting that we still have this demand, we still have these exchanging wicks. Maybe price could come and touch them, or maybe coming deeper inside this demand and then shoot to the upside. Okay, so anything still can happen. Price could also just mitigate this area of demand and then continue to the upside. But if that's not the case, then I'll be eyeing or maybe expecting price to come to here and then continue to the upside. So initially, I'm just looking at that bullish order flow. Okay, and if it does break to the upside and breaks this high, then now we will officially have that kind of order flow and also pull back to the upside. So just before I leave the USD Swiss franc daily time frame, let me just mark on my law. Okay, and then extend it right there. Okay, so now I'm playing between that high and this low, and this could be a pullback. Another thing that I'll be looking at is this FEB from the high to the low like that, and expecting at least price to possibly break or maybe breach that 50% equilibrium point. So that's just it. That's how I am looking at things. That's how I'm looking at the daily. So let's just go to 4 hour and see what we have in store. So 4 hour, we see very well that price shot to the upside. Remember that pullback. Okay, I've explained about these trades in my previous videos, so you can go and check on them. Okay, and also this missed trade, as you can see, price came into that supply, and then that supply now that move now caused or push price lower, okay, to come and create more double bottoms and also these relative lows. Okay, a little bit of pullback to induce more buyers and create that sell side liquidity, which later on came and took them out. Again, we see another range which pushed price down again. Okay, so this move to the upside, which you saw in the daily, is actually it's a pullback also on the 4 hour, because as you check very well, we have that high the same as dailies right here. Okay, playing also with this order flow, this what do you call it, low, okay, on the 4 hour. So meaning now this could be a pullback same as daily and also the 4 hour. So for me, I see this being a return to that demand and then price to short to the upside. So remember those exchanging wicks, this dotted line, dotted box, or rather dotted demand, is the one that you see that is a demand on the 4 hour. So let's now dissect this and see what is happening. So we see a move to the upside, taking out these highs. Okay, price came back down. Okay, let me try and zoom in well so that we can all have a clear view of what is happening. Oops, sorry. Okay, I think that should be better. So we see a pullback to there. Okay, but that price didn't touch this demand. Okay, because there was a slight pullback here before price went up. So when price was coming down, it didn't touch this demand. Okay, so again from that point we see an order flow, a bullish order flow to the upside. So you see that we had pullbacks and high highs, pullbacks and high highs. So when price came to here, now I want to explain how I actually took this stupid trade, or maybe invalid trade for the sake of PG words, invalid trade to the upside, thinking that it would have broken this supply and continue to the upside. But if you check very well, price did tag me. Okay, it did tag me, but still it gave me different vibes, because as you can see, this was an ascending triangle. Yes, I was expecting price to, break to the upside, maybe mitigate this supply, and then look for a demand from there, and then play that buy to those supply areas. But that wasn't the case. So as you can see, we have so as you can see, we have that bullish order flow, okay? But as that bullish order flow was being created, sorry, was being formed, sell side liquidity was also being created. So that's when price came and took all those guys out, these guys, and also left some few liquidity here, okay? The sell side liquidity to actually build those double bottom again. Okay, so again we see price pulling back up to that supply, okay, and then ranging again like that. Okay, so after that we see now price initially moving to the downside, possibly now wanting to now come and mitigate this area of demand before continuing to the upside. If that's not the case, then we still have this, for me I still have this demand that I'll be expecting price to come to, and also continue from there, because what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of liquidity. Okay, so number one, I have this supply, okay, creating multiples of highs. Okay, so let me just change that real quick. LQ, LTF. No, sorry, it's not LTF, it's HTF. So LQ, HTF, like that, okay, and also LQ right here. HDF. So you see how now it's building more of liquidity. Okay, so we need to be very cautious about that, because as we've just seen from the news, we have the NFP on Wednesday. So be very, very wary of that, and make sure that you trade accurately, or rather responsibly. So for this ascending triangle, okay, for this ascending triangle, yes, let me just say this. I was at work when I was taking this trade, so you can tell how the pressure was to just multitask. Number two, the lower time frames in 15 minutes gave me a clear play picture of what was going on. Now, what I don't understand is, I don't understand why TradingView doesn't allow us as traders have the same account open in several devices, at least two. Okay, so say for example, I have my TradingView open up on my PC with one account. I cannot open another TradingView in my phone or tablet with the same account. So you see how that is really stressing. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, I had to open another account in my phone to just see on the highlights. But what was more important is that I missed out on that trade to the downside, because my PC was well marked and ready. Okay, say for example, this supply right here, this supply is what price was still reacting from, and I should have been patient to wait for that break to the upside. But as again I say, I wasn't patient, and I take full responsibility of that action. So what am I trying to say again is that this move to the downside could perfectly be executed, but we'll look at that in the lower time frames. It's just that I didn't remember that, because why? I wasn't having the same drawings to help me remember and keep track of what I was actually looking at in the morning before I left for work. Okay, so let's now jump into the 15 minute. This was a loss, very big loss, by the way, a whole 1% of my account. So let's just go to the 15 minute and see what we have in store, and see what we actually missed. Okay, so 15 minute, starting off from the structure, we see that high, okay, breaking this low, and then price shot to the downside, and then we see again price shooting to the upside. So meaning the trend has changed, and now we'll be looking for buys so that we can come and take out all these highs. Okay, all these highs that were left as liquidity. Okay, so let me now zoom in. Let me now zoom in and look at how the week now played out. Okay, so right here we had, this was the last pullback, which when price broke to that low, we had that change of character. Price came back up to that supply and then shot to the downside, or rather now changed direction to the downside to actually do the pullback. So again, we see supplies like this one being respected. Again, price came back down to create a double bottom, okay, and then came back up to meet to react from that supply and then short to the downside to actually mitigate that demand. Okay, so right here we see, I think this was on Tuesday, right? Yeah, this was on Tuesday. We had a change of character on the New York, and then price came back down, okay, to mitigate that demand, and then now started to create that bullish order, internal order flow. Okay, so we see now for my internal order flow, I am playing between this high and this low. Price is actually, or currently, on a downtrend. And why is it on a downtrend? It is on a downtrend to facilitate the whole 15-minute pullback. So I'll be expecting at least for price to, sorry, I'll be expecting at least for price to come in, do a deeper pullback below the 50%, below the 50% equilibrium. So let me just remove this one because it's not that important. And also, yeah, I think that should be okay. So if I'm expecting a pullback to the areas of discount, then this would be the one. Okay, this would be the one there, and then I'll be expecting at least price to, move in deeper below this 50% equilibrium right there before maybe looking for any opportunities and continue to the upside. Okay, so anything still can happen, and that's just an overview forecast of how I'll be expecting my 15-minute structure to play out. So let's now jump into this that we just started to check out. So right there we see, okay, we see that price continued with that order flow. Okay, all through London and New York, we see just, price continuing just like that, just like that. And then on Wednesday, is it? No, on Thursday, we see price reacting from that supply, coming back down to that demand, and they shoot to the upside. Now, remember that 4-hour trade that I was expecting price to, break out from this triangle. Okay, see now how my drawings were. They were so specific, because very accurate, because if you check that, we had a pullback there, price came back higher to take out those highs, caused a change of character from there, and then came back down to mitigate this demand. Again, after that, we had now the actual return to that supply, and then price now came in to take out all those lows that were created on Wednesday. Okay, were created on Wednesday. So this would have been the trade that I should have, or would have, or could have taken. Okay, could have taken to the downside. Okay, it would have been a very comfortable 3R, but instead I was concentrating on the 4-hour, predicting, not even anticipating, but predicting the price would break to the upside, but that wasn't the case. So jokes on me, and I take full responsibility of that. Next time I'll have to be very wary. So again, change of character. Price came back to just this demand and then shot to the upside. We see New York ranging again, pushing price to that supply again, another supply, and then price shot to the downside again to come and mitigate this and also create more liquidity, which later on came and took them out. So again, we see price coming back up to take out these highs, these relative double tops, and then price now has come back down. It has come back down to take out this demand, okay, and right now it is ranging. Okay, it is ranging, not breaking any highs and not breaking any lows. And initially also, we still have our internal structure on the 4-hour. We still have the internal structure looking like bearish. Okay, so let me just zoom in. looking bearish, and it's only looking bearish between that high and this low, looking bearish like that. So I'm expecting this to be the initial pullback, okay, which happened twice like that, the initial pullback to actually push price to the downside. So that's just my focus on USD CHF, and that's what I'll be looking and expecting things to happen coming in possibly next week. Okay, so bear in mind we still have the NFP on Wednesday, so let's be very, very cognizant of how price will play out and what we'll be expecting. For me, I'd say that this is a whole range. Let's just wait and let price just play on its own, especially Monday and Tuesday. Let us wait and see how price will shape up for Wednesday, so that we can actually get to react from any level that price will possibly give us. Okay, so let's now jump into the USD, Euro USD, and finish out with this week's analysis. Okay, so last but not least, Euro USD. Starting off from the monthly, we still have that bearish flag which got broken, and price actually started off well by showing us that it's actually reacting from that demand to continue to the upside. So I still see this move, okay, from this demand right here being the one that is holding, which push price higher. So meaning now that maybe this exchanging waves could be another area where price will react from and continue to the higher side. Also, we have mitigated this supply, so maybe we could start pulling back, okay, and come and mitigate those areas of demand where were left unmitigated. Say, for example, there and also there. So anything still can happen. Let's just wait and see. For now, let's go to the lower time frames and see what we have in store. Weekly, we see very well that price did push to the upside during January. So January did a little bit of a manipulation and also mitigation to that demand. At that time, it wasn't a demand. So it was only a mitigation to that point of interest, and then push price to the upside. So now it was created as demand, and now this is the next demand that price is coming back to. So meaning now from here is where we might see, okay, a reaction and then push to the upside. Uh, why am I saying push to the upside? Is because that is, for me, is a supply right there. Okay, it's a supply which I'm expecting price to come to, and also fill this void. Okay, this void that was created here. So that's what I'm expecting. If that doesn't happen and we have a break of that low like that, then I'll be looking for any supplies around there and then play that pullback to that area, to those areas of demand that I'll be expecting price to come to. Anticipating, sorry, price to come to. Now the daily things now starts getting hotter. As you can see, we are playing between this low, okay, and that high. So price, I think, has pulled back significantly to that 50%, but I'm really not sure. We'll draw that in a second. But for me, I see this being the pullback that actually pushed price lower, and then we had another, reaction from there, but still no any level of reaction that we can look at from this candle. So meaning, even after this move to the downside, for me, I can say that we're still in a downtrend. Okay, so this could be the supply now that price is just targeting to react from, and then continue to the downside to come and mitigate this whole deeper inside this weekly demand and also this daily demand that is down here. Okay, so that is what I'll be expecting from Euro USD. Also, let's not forget that we have these exchanging weeks that I'll be also be expecting price to at least come and touch before maybe continue to the downside, and also take out some few highs that were left around here. So that's just my anticipation on the daily. Now 4 hour is where things got a bit interesting. If you check very well, for me, I'm playing between that high, so that low and this high. So we didn't have any change of character very early because we didn't have any other pullback. But if you check very well, we had this bearish order flow that was created, okay, like that. Okay, so this was the last supply that we would have expected price to react from. For this missed trade, please go to my last videos and you'll see how I explained on how I would have looked at it, but because of my hesitation, I missed it. So this is the last supply that caused the break of this low. So meaning that as much as price range around here, okay, because if you check very well also, we have let me try and zoom in. We have this move to the upside. We had a pullback here, then move to the upside, cause a high, and then we had a change of character right here, breaking this low. So again, when price went in deeper, okay, to maybe signal to for us that they're still going to dump, we see the price was only creating relative loss, okay, and also yes, reacting from these exchanging wicks, but it was just all inducement, okay, just to play with your mind that prices around there, please concentrate on there, please buy, please sell, but we're just busy taking people out, okay, and reducing the account balances. So we see a return to that supply after this change of character where price pushed down. Now, for me, I saw this, okay, this last candle before this break to be being my supply. Okay, so when price came in up there deeper, I placed in my sell stop, which as you can see, price came in with that bullish candle, okay, but still went continue to the upside. So good thing is it didn't get tagged as much as the DAX went on a very massive 1% loss. This one didn't get tagged, okay, and as you can see, price continued to buy and continue to buy to the upside. So meaning now, if I am looking for any setup, number one, I'll be looking for price to at least pull back to this, okay, this level of point of interest, which for me, I don't want to call it a demand right now as much as it broke this last high. So let me just say this point of interest and then look maybe to take advantage in the lower time frames from that candle and play those buys to take out those highs and also mitigate the supply. And also I'll be anticipating if it does break this supply, then maybe we could be aiming that supply, okay, to there before maybe continuing with that move to the downside. But either way, I see this supply maybe just waiting for price, and we will have to see how price will react from that point. So let's just wait and see how things will play out. But for me, I'm not a financial advisor. Once again, put in my disclaimer at the beginning of the video. What I'm saying is I'll just be anticipating on those moves to happen. Also, I still have those demand and 4 hour demands, 4 hour demand levels right here, down here, expecting price to come to, and then maybe react from that point. Okay, so no trades from here, but let's look at lower time frames and see what we have in store, especially the 15-minute. For now, I can only say before I close down on 4 hour that we had a reaction from these exchanging wicks. Okay, we had a very big range right here on the 15-minute, which pushed price higher. And then we had another pullback here, but it was not reacting to any level of interest, or rather point of interest, which now pushed price higher. So for me, I can say that all this is liquidity. Okay, so we could also face, or excuse me, or maybe anticipate a move to the downside from that supply and then come and take them out and mitigate that daily demand that we just saw on the daily. And also here on the 4 hour, because you check the 4 hour also, we had a pullback right here, price came back down and then shot to the upside. So there was a change of character. See this one here, that one. There was a change of character and price did pull back, or rather came back to that demand. So maybe this could be the initial move that they will be creating to come and take people out. Okay, so let's just wait and see how things will play out coming in next week, or maybe the whole of this month. So 15 minutes, I will go through the week and see how price played out. Okay, so let me just move this one and extend it to there. Okay, so this is where my February started, and this is the whole of last week up to here. So we see February, we see price pushing back up, and then creating those couple of bottoms before maybe taking them out, okay, which price now came up to here. Okay, let me now try and zoom in. And remember, this is a 4-hour supply, which is also having that dotted demand supply also, which that we just saw from the daily that they were exchanging wicks. So meaning I'm still expecting price to come back up there, but that's okay if it doesn't. Okay, that's just okay. So we had a change of character right here after price pushed up, pushed down, and then came back up to react, and then continue to the upside to cause that change of character. Well, so when price came back down to mitigate that area, okay, of demand, we see price pushing up. So around on Tuesday, right? Yeah, this was on Tuesday. We see price coming up right there. Sorry, we see price coming up, and then we had a slight pullback here, and then price again shot to the upside to mitigate the supply. We had a change of character right there, and then we had that return. So meaning after that return is where now price shot to the downside. So this was a mistrade for me, and especially this mistrade happened exactly on the London Open. Okay, so if I'm going to be a sessions trader, I told myself I have to be very much alert during these opens to actually catch these kind of trades. So again, we see now price pushing up from that demand, okay, and then coming back down to create to come in deeper, take out these lows, and also possibly mitigating this demand. But that wasn't the case. It didn't touch it. So for me, what I did is I used this supply right here to take my trade from. As much as I missed this one, I think I grew FOMO and I grew the fear of, missing out. So meaning from there, I took this trade from that supply thinking that we could be continuing to the downside, just following. I was following this bearish order flow. Okay, but that wasn't the case. So as you can see, price took me out at that point. I think this was the news because these red lines are always the news for me. So we see price shooting to the upside, okay, to take out all those highs, and then we see another range around here inside this demand, which push price higher. So right here, when price came to this point, we see we had a pullback, okay, and then we had a move to the high. If you check on your charts, you will see what I mean. So we had a move to the high, and then price came back down to cause that change of character. Now, after that change of character, this was on Wednesday. After the change of character, we see London pulling price to the upside to take out those Asia highs, okay, and then causing another change of character right here. So after price now came back up to that supply after the change of character, I took that advantage and I placed in my sell stop order. Okay. Now in that sell stop order, we see that price came in very swiftly to this demand, okay, but it was only pulling liquidity. But at that time, I couldn't think of that. So what I said is, as much as this was still visible, okay, I was still anticipating that maybe expecting the price would come to here. So what I did is I trailed my stop loss to break even, okay, and as you can see, price took me out, and then initially now continued with my direction, or rather with my flow to the downside. So if I didn't trail my stop loss to break even, that would have been a very comfortable 3R to the downside. Okay, so again, we see now price coming back down, back up, okay, inside this supply and respecting order flow. Okay, so meaning this was another trade that I missed, okay, from this supply, which as much as it ranged during Wednesday, New York, we see price pushing down during Asian in the morning. Okay, so meaning now, even when price was playing around all that in that trade before hitting TP, we see price coming back up into that supply and then now pushing price again lower and respecting these 4-hour supplies, okay, to push price lower again like that. Okay, so automatically that would have been another trade that I would have taken and pocketed in that 3R. Okay, so here we had another change of character. I've not drawn that on. Okay, but we see price pushing to the upside and continue to the upside to that supply. So here we had a range around, this was now on Friday. So Asian in London was all about ranges, and then price shot to the upside. For me, I placed in my sell stop order, like I showed you in my 4 hour right there. Okay, thinking that maybe would continue to the downside, but that wasn't the case. So meaning this now has been left as liquidity. So because for me, because I'm anticipating that we would sell is because of the structure. Okay, the order flow is still being respected to the downside, so anything still can happen, but for now this is just a range for me, nothing too palpable to see. Okay, but my internal order flow is to the bullish side. Okay, so maybe we could have something like this just for the sake of, breaking that high, and also uh, drawing in on that low. Okay, and then maybe look for any demand and then continue to the upside. So anything can happen right now. Price is actually ranging in very, very, very many pairs. So please just be very, very wary about that. What I can say is that from the 4 hour perspective on the Euro USD, we see that price is still on a downtrend. So let's just be very wary of that. This one, because it wasn't tagged, I will remove it so that I can have a clear picture of what will happen next week. USD CHF, let's now just look at the overview forecast on what we'll be expecting. So USD CHF 4 hour, okay, I'll be waiting for it to buy so that it can facilitate that daily and 4 hour pullback. So what is happening is this is still a range. I guess Monday and Tuesday could be a manipulation before NFP, giving us the initial direction that it wanted to go. Finishing up with the DAX, 4 hour. Also, this one, I'll be expecting for it to continue buying. Okay, at least, uh, uh, hitting my imaginary 3R that I should be having by now, or rather maybe expecting, at least to this supply before maybe reacting from there, and then continue to the downside. But for the DAX, we are still buying, because as you can see, we only took liquidity from this demand. Okay, this demand, and then this demand, now this whole range demand, daily demand, sorry, we see price reacting from, and then continue to the upside. So still anything can happen, so let's just be very wary, and also be very, very focused on what we will be facing. So that's just it from my analysis, and that's just it for JSMFX this week of the 2nd of 6th, and also for the forecast of 9th to 13th of February 2026. So if you want us to trade together, let me know in my inbox, maybe TikTok or Telegram, but I'll leave the link in the description box below. For that being said, I just don't have much, but only to wish you a nice weekend and stay blessed. Peace.